And humble pranams at the lotus feet of the Lord of the universe and beyond, our beloved Swami. This is the third strategy presentation. I really pity the audience. I think one strategy is enough. Now we are talking about the third strategy. Brother Danesh Watwani is the actual person. He is responsible for the strategy document development. But like a true sevak, he is now in Tacloban. And this is no attempt to dethrone him, or it's not a coup attempt. I just will do a quick presentation. We are very grateful to the country leaders, the country chairpersons, the service coordinators who have provided us with detailed information on the various service activities that are being undertaken. We mapped them very carefully, and on the basis of the mapping that we had done, we conducted our strength, weakness, opportunities, constraints analysis, because I think this is a logical progression through which a strategy document should be developed. And basis on that, we have tried to formulate certain recommendations. And of course, before doing all this, we have to understand what our beloved Swami has said, that the purpose of selfless service is alleviation of suffering and, most importantly, spiritual progress. Swami also says that it's a symbol of high character. Generous feelings is a rare gift of conducting service for a devotee. And of course, I would like to just, this Jesus Christ serving his disciples, we are to servants and not masters. Coming to the strategy document, we have given a title to the strategy document. What we're trying to say is that fill the zone with love. That is the zone 4 with love. And we're talking about the journey from ripple to wave of selfless service. We are now in a sort of a ripple stage. We have some PhD candidates like Malaysia, Singapore, and we have certain kindergartens like Laos. So we are in a ripple stage, but how can we make it a giant wave of selfless service? So, as I mentioned, we did a frank evaluation and some out-of-the-box thinking, because as Uncle Reddy in his morning speech said, that we have to move away from supply-driven to demand-driven. So we have to really think how we can maximize our impact. The vision of the strategy document is through selfless service to develop communities filled with spirituality and oneness, respectful to nature and to all living beings. Now, if there is disagreement, it's all welcome. Kindly provide your inputs to Brother Danesh. He will do the hard work of finalizing all this. My job is to create confusion. And the objective is to establish Sri Sathya Sai organization as leading humanitarian and development organization in Zone 4, countries in the process establishing a new paradigm of human values-based development. I think we have to move away from our zone of comfort, sitting in small rooms, encouraging each other, that's important, but really we have to go out to the world and show the world and demonstrate a new way of how development can work, how selfless service can be rendered to the needy. We have focused or concentrated on 3 main goals and 3 cross-cutting issues. The first goal, which looks a bit awesome, but I think it's very important that we align country activities with national development agenda. You know, so much good work is being done in countries like Nepal, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Thailand. These countries are doing excellent work. It's like pearls, you know. One activity is a precious pearl. But the way I look at it, these are all scattered pearls. A string needs to be strewn through it so that it becomes a necklace of pearl. And I'm quite sure that a necklace of pearl is worth more than the individual pearls. I mean, we all agree to it, right? I wasn't aware of that fact, but anyway, I made it up. But I think it's very important that we have an architecture of our work. We have a purpose. Why we are doing something, we should be aware of that. Again, coming back to Uncle Reddy, it should not be supply driven. We should be aware why we are doing this, how it fits to the national development agenda, how it can bring in visibility of Swami's teachings. So this is the first agenda. The second is we have to focus on long-term, impactful and sustainable initiatives. We should move away from fly-by-night initiatives. Those are important. Short-term initiatives are important, but we have to now focus on more impactful long-term projects. And of course, one key element and strength of Sathya Sai organization can be to strengthen our disaster response capacity. I think we all have received in the last few days guidelines from Uncle Ravi. And so I think it's very important that how we can strengthen this capacity, and we will talk more about in the subsequent slides. And the cross-cutting issues to deliver these things effectively, I see is building human resource capacity. I think we have to also develop ourselves. We have to be more knowledgeable. We have to be more skillful. We have to conduct resource mobilization. I'm sorry to say this, I mean, as Uncle Reddy said, that money is not the most important thing, but at the same time, as he also mentioned, that to undertake activities, we have to sometimes raise resources. And of course, I think one critical issue is that we have to move away from working in isolation to work with multiple stakeholders, to work with multiple partners. And I think that's the way we can influence policy, we can establish Sathya Sai organizations who work in a most effective way. These are a line of principles based on which the strategy document is developed. This is a long thing, I'm not going to read through it, but this is only to confuse people so that they do not ask more questions. Now coming to the strength, weakness and opportunities and constraints analysis, generally people do SWOT analysis, that is strength, weakness, opportunities and threats. But we change the threats to constraint because there can be no threat to Sathya Sai organization. So the strengths is we have a lot of committed and motivated volunteers. I mean, if you look at this gathering, all dynamic people, we have really committed and motivated volunteers. We are engaged in a wide range of service activities. I mean, it was an eye-opener when I was going through the country fact sheets and analyzing them. It was really such a great learning experience for us. And of course, we have a good reputation among stakeholders with whom we are actively engaged in our day-to-day activities. But the weaknesses also have a number of points. We lack a strategic vision. I mean, we are doing a lot of work, but why we are doing, to put in a sort of a thematic concept, to put in a sort of alignment, an architecture is missing. We also face difficulties at times to organize, mobilize the requisite number of volunteers, more so in the cases where the countries have smaller organizations. As Brother Manoj mentioned in his presentation, difficult to retain people. We have a number of floating population who come in and go out. The ease with which they come, the ease with which they go out. So I think it's very important to have motivated volunteers and to expand the number. And of course, we have resource constraints. It's not only funds, it's also time. People are more busy nowadays. We also have limited engagement with external stakeholders, which I had mentioned. And one thing is critical is that we have very few literature talking about how Sathya Sai model of development can be useful, can be impactful. I think we have to develop literature which will stand the test of scientific journals. I have seen a very good work done by Dr. Suresh Govin. I think that's one piece of literature which I have seen. I think we have to increase, we have to add on to that volume of literature, which is currently one. The opportunities, we have to build partnerships, leverage competences and results. Leveraging competencies is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. We have to influence the development agenda. We have to let people get inspired by our way of work. And we have to demonstrate achieved results. I think it's very, very important. Dr. Sitaram was mentioning yesterday how Swami's Anantapur water supply project has been sort of established as a great case of successful water supply project implementation. There are certain constraints. There are some negative perception because of people who are not well informed about what our organization stands for. So we have to really go out and sort of build these bridges. So I think I do not need to go one by one. And there are several indicators of progress, so we should develop country strategy. We should develop certain tangible products that shows that we are progressing on that path. And also, as I mentioned, that each and every goal has certain smart indicators, specific, measurable, achievable, result-oriented and time-bound indicators that will say that we are really progressing, as Uncle Reddy was mentioning, that we have to demonstrate that we are really on progress and we are achieving the results. Om Shri Sai Ram, thank you so much for your patience. Thank you.